say every neighborhood has one house people avoid without knowing why. On Graywillow Street, it was number 27. The paint on the walls never peeled, yet the house always looked unfinished, like it was still deciding what it wanted to be. No lights stayed on for long. No curtains ever moved. After midnight, something else happened. Something no one liked to talk about out loud. It started with the whispers. At exactly 12:07 a.m., residents would wake up not to screams, not to footsteps, but to soft, careful voices slipping through the dark. The sound didn't come from outside. It came from inside their heads, as if the house itself was speaking directly to them. Most people blamed stress, insomnia, old wiring, until the patterns became impossible to ignore. Every person who heard the whispers described the same thing: a low murmur, slow breathing, and words that never finished their sentences. Come closer, you forgot something. 3 families moved out in 1 year. 1 left there. Furniture behind, keys still on the table. Dinner rotting in the fridge. They never returned to collect anything. When asked why, the mother simply said, "That house knows our names." The records showed nothing unusual. Built in 1978. 1 owner. No reported crimes. No deaths. Clean paperwork. To clean. Then there was Mr. Harold Fenwick, the only man who had lived in number 27 since the beginning. A quiet widower, polite, always smiling. He waved every morning at exactly 8:15 a.m. like a ritual, but no one had ever been inside his house, not even the police. One night, a power outage swallowed Graywillow Street. No street lights, no phones, just darkness and the sound of generators humming far away. At 12:07 a.m., the whispers didn't stay quiet. People heard doors opening that weren't theirs, floors creaking where no one walked. From number 27, a sound finally escaped into the open air, a voice no longer whispering, calmly saying, "I'm awake now." That was the night the house stopped pretending to be empty, and the night Graywillow Street learned the whispers weren't warnings, they were invitations. By morning, Graywillow Street looked the same, but no one felt the same. Neighbors stood outside in silence, pretending to check their mail, pretending not to stare at number 27. Mr. Fenwick's house was dark again. No lights, no movement, just the same calm, waiting stillness. Police reports from that night listed nothing unusual. No break-ins, no emergency calls answered. The outage was blamed on a transformer failure. Case closed before it ever opened. But the whispers didn't stop. They grew clearer. People began waking up with headaches and sore throats, as if they'd been talking all night. Some found mud on their shoes. Others discovered handprints on their bedroom mirrors, prints that didn't belong to them. And every time the clock read 12:07 a.m., that's when Lena Morales, a night shift nurse, decided to record the sound. She set her phone on her nightstand, pressed record, and waited. When the whispers came, she didn't move. She didn't breathe. The next morning, she played it back. At first, there was only static, then breathing, slow, controlled, right against the microphone. And finally, a voice that was not hers, whispering clearly, "Thank you for listening." Lena didn't sleep again. 2 nights later, a child went missing. 8-year-old Tommy Reed. Last seen walking his dog past number 27 just before midnight. The dog returned alone, leash still attached, dragging across the pavement. Search teams combed the area. Dogs tracked Tommy's scent straight to Mr. Fenwick's front door, and then nothing. The trail didn't fade. It stopped. Police knocked. No answer. They knocked again, louder. Still nothing. When they finally forced the door open, the house smelled clean to clean, like something had been scrubbed of its past. Inside, every room was empty. No furniture, no photos, no dust except for the walls. Names were carved into them, hundreds, layered over each other, deep and frantic, like someone had been trying to remember people before they disappeared. Near the staircase, freshly carved, was a name everyone recognized, Tommy Reed, and beneath it, a message written so neatly it looked practiced. "The house remembers." Upstairs, a single clock ticked in the dark, stopped forever at 12:07 a.m. To the discovery inside number 27, Graywillow Street became a crime scene and a secret. Police sealed the house, posted guards, and warned residents not to speak to the media. Officially, Mr. Harold Fenwick was listed as a person of interest. Unofficially, no one could explain how a man his age could erase a home so completely or where he had gone. The whispers grew angry. They hearing his late mother's voice coming from behind the walls. Another quit after claiming the floor beneath him breathed. Both reports were quietly buried. Then the recording started changing. Every camera placed inside number 27 malfunctioned except the audio. What it captured wasn't noise, but conversations, dozens of voices layered together, repeating fragments of memories that didn't belong to the same life. A lullaby, a prayer, a child asking for help, and underneath it all, Fenwick's voice, calm, patient, teaching. "It's easier when you let the house keep you," he said. "You don't disappear. You stay useful." Lena Morales broke quarantine the third night. She said the house had been calling her since the recording, said it knew things about her childhood no one else could. When officers found her standing in the hallway of number 27, she was smiling, eyes unfocused, hand pressed gently against the wall. She kept repeating one sentence, "It's warmer inside." They pulled her out just before 12:07 a.m. Inside the house, something changed. The walls began to bleed, sound names being spoken in real time, including the officer's own. The carved letters shifted, rearranging themselves slowly, like the house was rewriting its memory. And in the basement, behind a door that hadn't existed before, they found proof Fenwick was never alone. Dozens of personal items, shoes, watches, hair ribbons, school badges, not trophies, anchors. The house wasn't killing people, it was keeping them. At 12:07 a.m., the clock upstairs began ticking again, and somewhere inside the walls, a new voice joined the chorus, a child's voice, still asking to go home. At 12:06 a.m., the house was silent, too silent. No whispers, no ticking clock. The air felt heavy, like it was holding its breath. At 12:07 a.m., every light on the street turned on at once. The house spoke clearly, loudly, not bothering to hide anymore. Not one voice, hundreds. Names echoed from the walls, overlapping, pleading, arguing, laughing. Entire lives compressed into sound. The crew dropped their tools. One man fell to his knees, covering his ears, as the voice of his dead brother called him from inside the foundation. Then Fenwick appeared, not as a man but as a shape in the doorway, then stretched, like he had been pulled apart and put back together by the house itself. "This was never a home," his voice said, layered with others. "It's a memory, and memories don't die." The first charge detonated. The house screamed, not in pain but in rage. As the structure collapsed, the whispers surged, spilling into the open air, rushing outward like they were looking for somewhere new to live.